Welcome to the 100 Master Coaches series featuring master coaches from around the world. Let's journey together on this 100 Master Coaches series with your host, Coach Mel, MCC. Dr. Natalie Ashdown is one of Asia Pacific's most respected master certified coaches, a recognized speaker, author, and thought leader in coaching and leadership. Known for her passion, clarity, and creativity, she helps individuals, teams, and organizations achieve sustainable behavioral and cultural change through coaching. Natalie is the author of 2 Amazon best-selling coaching books, and her doctoral research delivered pioneering insights into how managers develop a coaching mindset and the impact of coach training in organizations. Beyond her professional work, she serves her community as a Surf Life Saving Australia volunteer, and continues her personal discipline as a second Dan black belt in Taekwondo and Karate. Now on to the show.
Hello, and welcome to the 100 Master Coaches show. This is Coach Mal, and today, oh my gosh, it's such a privilege to host my dear friend all the way from Melbourne, Australia. She's none other than Natalie Ashdown. Welcome to the show, Natalie.
Oh, thank you, Mel. And what a pleasure to be here with you and everyone that's listening to this podcast. I have been looking forward to this for quite some time, and I know that our diaries have aligned for this moment. So I'm really delighted to be here.
Absolutely. I think it's not just the diaries. I think the stars needed to align as well to bring this together, right? We've had actually lunches and dinners in between and not this episode. But, I think it's all on purpose. It was perhaps more meaningful that we savored it till this moment. I launched this podcast in August 2020. So that was the time of COVID, as you know. It's now past 5 years. Yeah, just an honor to just have you here on the 93rd episode.
Fantastic. Thank you. And congratulations on the success of the podcast as well. It takes dedication, and it's a wonderful opportunity for people to learn and to grow together as a community. So it's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Natalie, I'm always starting the show with asking about who Natalie is, the life, of course, even before coaching. So tell us where you like to begin.
Yeah, so before coaching, I was involved in building high-performing teams. So I've always been involved in building high-performing teams. And always been fascinated about human potential, bringing out the best in people. And I did that through product strategy, through banking and finance and marketing and the like. And to be honest with you, Mel, and with everyone who's listening, I started pursuing coaching in the early days, but I first started pursuing consulting because I just wanted to be paid more for telling people what to do.
That's great.
So here we are on a coaching podcast, and all I wanted to do was be paid more in consulting for telling people what to do, because I liked it when people took on my ideas and implemented them. So obviously you can imagine my surprise when I discovered that coaching was not that. I found out about coaching back then when I first started. There was no books on coaching. There was only one book, which was Sir John Whitmore's Coaching for High Performance. There was Coaching in the Workplace by Zeus and Skivington and The Tao of Coaching. So there was about 3 or 4 books available, and I just consumed them all in a really short period of time. And I remember sitting on the banks of one of our rivers when I was camping, and I was reading Sir John Whitmore's book, Coaching for High Performance, and I started marking up the side of the book, thinking about people I was working with in the workplace and people I was interacting with. And I started to think about how the words in the book and the ideas in the book could actually be applied to the workplace. And that's where I kind of discovered the bug for coaching. And I was really very keen to find out what this new idea of coaching was and how it might enable people to build high-performing teams. So I started in coaching, getting a coach myself, and then I started learning about coaching. And the more that I learned about coaching, the more I felt that consulting was not actually what I wanted to do, but coaching was where I could really bring out the best in people.
Yeah.
And so I pivoted from trying to set up a consulting company to setting up a coaching business.
Well, congratulations. You've obviously impacted thousands of people through this time, and me included, right? I remember when we first met, it was almost 20 years ago now, and it was in one of those ICF meetings. Mind you, I was just certified, and I did not hear about the ICF even before that, and I walked into this, was a pub, if I'm not mistaken. There was this person so open, so bubbly, so alive, and I could just hear the resounding your voice throughout all of that night, and it was so inviting as well. And that was the start of me saying yes to the ICF because of that interaction I had with everyone in the room, and of course with you, Natalie. So I wanted to personally say thank you for being that person for me that showed me what ICF can stand for. So tell me about that step in. You had an amazing corporate job. What made you make the leap into coaching?
Yeah, so you're right, I did. And like many of the people that might be listening or catching up with this podcast, I was one of those people back then that was looking for what's next. And I'd always wanted to start a business and build a team and build my own team. And so I was looking at the time for where was the opportunity for me to do that and leverage my skills and leverage what I really love. And so I did just start out like many people do, just with one or two coaching clients. And I remember turning down a big opportunity to go and work in Singapore because I had two coaching clients that I needed to serve. I didn't know how I would do that if I took the international job. But then things were sped up for me because I was made redundant from the role that I was in. So it was a great opportunity to say, well, what do I really want to do for the next 5 or 10 years? And if I was to put energy behind that, what could be possible? And I do remember my mother-in-law, she's passed away, but I do remember her saying and continuing to ask me about how's my job going and how's my job hunting going and did I need copies of the newspaper to look for jobs and have I got interviews lined up for jobs? And I remember so clearly saying to her, I am never going to have a job again. And when I think about that and I think about those words, that was my decision, Mel. It was to never have a job. And it was so tiny back then, 25 years ago, 20 years ago. Coaching wasn't even really known. But I knew that there was opportunity and I had 2 small coaching contracts and I just thought, let's try to grow this. So attending that event with you was a really pivotal moment because back then, coaching was so competitive. Everyone kept their cards to their chest. No one talked about what they were being paid. No one talked about their clients. No one was interested in collaborating apart from a few key people like you and I who connected and others that we connected with where we believe in collaboration. You know, we believe in the power of growing through group and community and relationships. And so I think that's why we connected, because you're a lovely person, like we're nice people, but also that we grow ourselves through community, through collaboration, through working together and no sense of competition, a sense of we can do this together. And of course, that's led us on lots of different journeys together and lots of exciting adventures in coaching together as well. So I think truly like when those early ICF events were people were giving out business cards, but kind of looking at each other at networking functions like, well, you're my competition. Why would I tell you about what I'm doing? Whereas I didn't have that approach. And I think that's where I've been able to connect with some amazing people throughout the years.
Yeah, thank you for saying all of that. And I think it's so important of how time has also changed a lot of things through the years. Of course, we don't no longer use newspapers, but thank God for a beautiful mother-in-law, right? Who was concerned, obviously, about your next place of impact.
Yeah,
And I'm just
yeah.
wondering when you said that I'm not going back for a job, it is just so beautiful and so purposeful as well. Natalie, I would like to say that because if you've never made that decision to step out of that corporate role, we've probably not met somehow. So I'm so grateful for that decision. And starting this open door coaching group, first and foremost, the name, right? Open door. I've never asked you this actually, but I kind of feel like that there must be something there with the name that actually tells the world about that step into coaching. It's like the invitation to what's possible. So tell me what that really means.
Yeah, so Open Door came from thinking about what does coaching do? What do we
Yeah,
do as coaches? What do we enable as coaches?
yeah.
And I did have other business names, but I can't remember what they were. But Open Door was about what do we do? We help clients open the doors. And the tagline at the time was open doors to new possibilities.
Wow.
So that's what I felt that coaching did. It opened doors, so either within us or
Mm,
around us. It
mm,
opens up opportunities, possibilities, potential. So that idea that coaching allows the opening of the door. And I think that the door is such a powerful analogy as well.
yeah.
It's good for branding and all of those kind of things, good for logo design. Sometimes we just get a foot in the door and
Mm,
sometimes the door slams shut in our face and we need to open different doors or look at different possibilities
that's
and
right.
different pathways. And so that analogy of the door, the opening, sometimes when we go into new opportunities and they're really scary and we have our hand on the doorknob and we don't know if we can open it and our hand is
That's true.
shaking, all of those moments are held in coaching and they're held in the name. And then coaching had to be in there, obviously, to tell people what we do. It was consulting at one point. So I did register Open Door Consulting and I let that company go. And then the group was very important. So it was never to be a sole trader, never to be by myself. It was always
Yeah.
about creating a group of people, creating a movement, creating collaboration, creating community. So the different parts of the Open Door Coaching group have meaning because even
Mm,
saying that we're a group means that we're moving together. And that was very important to me as well.
mm.
Over time, it's just been abbreviated to Open Door, which is great because that's how we're known. But I like it that part of the company name is the essential part of the company name that's been taken forward as well. So
Mm.
yeah,
And there are different ways that coaches can enter through that door of coaching, right? Often they come in saying, "Oh, I want to be coach, so I'm going to be doing one-on-one coaching, team coaching." But there is that difference as well from doing all of that, which is great work, and also being an educator of future coaches. So what was that drive behind, wanting to see yourself as an educator of coaching? Where did that come from, Natalie?
yeah, it's a great question actually because I never started out thinking about coach education. Actually,
Mm,
what
mm,
happened was that I came out of my coaching course, my initial coaching course, and I literally started coaching with a grow model on my lap. So, so we are talking about very kind of powerful tools, but
yeah.
primitive coaching with just the grow model. And I really wanted to make a difference to workplaces. I really wanted to empower workplaces to be, and
Mm,
it's still what we're trying to do today, empower workplaces to be great workplaces that people are proud of, where they want to come to work, where engagement's high, where we're bringing out the best in people, where we're inspiring the next generations. And I wanted to do that back then.
mm,
Um, and I found that the coaching tools that I had didn't seem to be enough to be able to solve the problems that we had in the workplaces. there was no tools for coaching through conflict, or no tools for coaching through change, no tools for the challenges that leaders were facing in the workplace. And then as I've been thinking about that, Mel, as you know, opportunities arise. I met a person from a company and they said, we're looking for some leadership workshops. Do you know about this? And I said, of course I do. And I designed the first workshop. And the first workshop was like an introduction to coaching kind of workshop. And I had to do, also I was doing some other study and I had to design a workshop as part of that study. So I designed another workshop as well. And so those leader as coach early coaching through change, coaching through conflict workshops that I designed back then was all around an opportunity. Can you deliver us a workshop, a one-day workshop? And I said yes. And then I realized how much I loved it. I loved communicating. I loved educating people. I loved transferring knowledge. I loved seeing people learn. I loved sharing ideas. I loved people making changes because they'd learned the GROW model, and it grew from there. So one workshop or two workshops led to with like 10 workshops. And I remember so clearly saying, yes, I can do it. And then spending all night writing these workshops, which I'm sure so many people listening to have done.
Yeah.
You know, you say yes to the opportunity and then you work it out. And so that's what I was doing. And my brother was working for a really large corporate organization at the time. And we would go in at night time and use the photocopier to print out workbooks. So we used to say that big business was funding the Open Door Coaching Group because we were using his photocopy card to print workbooks. And I remember so clearly him writing on a recycle box that had the workbooks in it. And I was going out to deliver the next day. And he just wrote, "Live the dream, baby," on this recycle box. And to this day, I don't have the recycle box anymore because it got recycled. But I can completely see the live the dream. And that's how it started. So one workshop saying yes to something, staying up all night building something. And that's been the pattern of my career, actually, staying up all night to build and be creative and grow, really.
Yeah. I hear so many things that you've said. I hear that the passion for growth, your own growth, the fact that you said yes. It's like you are also the representation of the open door because you said yes to yourself. You said yes to the opportunities. It may not have been done before, at least in your own books. And when you did, many more things opened your way. And the result of that was that accumulation of new content that you created into these beautiful programs. I also went through those programs because we talked, we collaborated, and we brought the Cert 4 and the diploma to Asia back in the day. Yeah, it all started with that amazing time with your brother. So thank you, brother.
Yeah.
So Natalie, there's just so many possibilities to enter into the rooms. Where do you think coaching was taking you to in that earlier days of setting up the school, and at that point of time getting that even two different organizations that were coming in with their HR people wanting to learn about coaching and be certified. And I know so many stories that you've told me, and it's also part of the book, Bring Out the Best, where amazing leaders of organizations had believed first in this thing we call the coaching culture and said, well, I want to bring out the best in people, in culture. And that was part of your DNA even right from the start. So tell us about that journey.
Again, it was all around how to bring out the best in people. And then what I realized that I was good at was conceiving or the strategy behind how to do that. But also my art or my creativity, if you like, was in that I can create frameworks or tools that then that if they're shared with others makes sense, and then they can go out and do that. So it was all about, if you coach one person and then they go and coach 10 people and then they go and coach people. So there's business drivers behind what I was trying to achieve. And that was that if we're going to be successful, we need to get coaching into the hands of many, many more people. So how do you do that? How do you put coaching into the hands of many people so that the more leaders you influence, the more coaching they can do, the more difference they can make in the world? So that was the driver. And one of the ways you do that is by bringing people together in workshops. But in the early days, there was no qualifications in coaching. So I really believe in education, allowing education to be accessible to everybody. So it was about putting in place coaching education so that we could set some standards, so that we could set some benchmarks, so that people could achieve something, not only in the skills and knowledge, but then they'd have a certificate, which would be important to them as well. So that's how it led to the creation of the Certificate 4 and the diploma. That's the opportunity we saw to go to Asia. And then the programs were accredited by the International Coach Federation. And so we kind of had everything we needed then, not just to be sharing skills, but to be sharing qualifications and certifications. That was quite defining, you see, Mel, because in the industry where anyone can join the industry, and as we still talk about today, anyone can call themselves a coach. I've always championed professionalism, always championed that we should be qualified, that we should have a set of frameworks, a set of ethics, a set of core competencies, just like any other profession. So that's what I was trying to influence in the early days of the ICF, joining the ICF in Australasia as well. And that's been my passion, you know, to really bring high quality education, give it to the hands of people who can then go and make a difference in their organisation. And when more and more people do that, that's when we see a culture of coaching within organisations. And that's always been my passion. Not so much to change culture, but to let coaching enable the culture. Let coaching be the enablement of what leaders want to see in their cultures, and the coaching skills enabling leadership. And that's always been a driver for me, is how can we change organisations? How can we change leaders? How can we change organisations to create workplaces where we can make a real difference? So the culture, the certifications, the qualifications, they're all part of how we show up as professionals and the difference that we want to make to our organisations, to everyone around us, but also then to the broader organisation as well. And that's where the culture piece comes into it for me.
And it's so important. I mean, you've had many experiences where the culture is a certain way already because, as you mentioned in the book, it's what we do around here. And that's the culture that's already been in existence. And then here comes coaching. And you rightfully said that coaching is not to change the culture, but it's an enabler to many things. So I'm curious, Natalie, in the impact of the coaching culture that you have ushered into a few key organizations. Tell us about that experience, how that has been a part of impacting more people, you know, that whole trickling effect of coaching, touching everyday life.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been the greatest. I've had such wonderful opportunities to do such really wonderful work. And the discussions around how do we build a culture of coaching within the organizations is just such a privilege, because we're really talking about the fabric of an organization and how we show up as leaders, as coaches. So any opportunity to do that from an organizational point of view is it's a privilege, because it takes trust and belief and vision and strategy. And so the biggest privilege I've probably had with many organizations I've worked with, but the case study I always use is our Royal Australian Air Force. And that opportunity started out with the Chief of Air Force having a plan and a strategy for what the future of Air Force needed to look like. And there was a couple of leaders within that organisation that I connected with. And they were keen to see how coaching might enable the Chief of Air Force's workforce strategy. And we did a lot of discussion around that. And they ended up coming on the Certificate 4 program. And then from there, we decided that, well, it starts somewhere. So we got 16 leaders in the room, actually, and they were very senior Air Force officers. And we ran one program as a pilot program to see that if we were doing this thing called coaching and you took that back out into the workplace, what difference would it make? Could we use coaching to enable what the Chief of Air Force was actually asking for? And he was asking of his people to be leaders, to be innovative, to lead the organization. And there was a number of different attributes that he was wanting to see within the Air Force. And we linked the coaching that we were doing to the Air Force strategy. And I think that's one of the key things that we've always been able to do is link it to the bigger picture. Our big picture links to their big picture, that kind of thing. And then 16 people, we put on another course. And so, over the years, we've coached over 1,000 people from Air Force. They got accredited to then deliver a program, which was like a Coaching 101 program, which I helped design. Now it's called Coaching for High Performance. Wow. And those people went on and delivered that one-day training program, and they still deliver it. So it's live today. 9,000 people or more went through the program initially, and now more people are going through it again. And then they over the years, started looking at where does coaching enable different parts of the Air Force? So where does it enable different units and different strategies? And how do they bring coaching in? And I think the remarkable thing about that case study is that everyone thinks, coaching won't work here. You can't do coaching at our organization. Or our leaders are so ingrained in the directing and telling approach that you can't do coaching. So Air Force was a wonderful example to say that coaching fits within the leadership frameworks, coaching fits within the workforce strategy, coaching fits within who we are as leaders. Yes, we will be directing and telling, and yes, we'll take a coaching approach on a day-to-day basis. So the Air Force have a term called force multiplier effect, and that's the effect where you do one thing and then it has that ripple effect. And so not a lot of people like the term, but we use it from a ripple effect term, that if I coach one person and make a difference, then that person can coach others, make a difference, etc. And that's truly what they've created within our Air Force. The Navy have done something similar. And so I like that as a case study because it's all of those skeptics that say you can't do coaching in this environment, or coaching won't work for this type of leader, or we've got a command and control environment, but they still need to bring out the best in their people. They still need to inspire, engage, etc. So that's where coaching becomes the enabling strategy. And thinking about it from that way just really works as well, because coaching was seen as soft skills. And I was an advocate of there's nothing soft about conflict management. There's nothing soft about feedback conversations. There's nothing soft about performance conversations that are very difficult. There's something soft about change. And leadership is not a soft topic. It can be a very hard topic. So we differentiated between leadership skills and technical skills. And then we're giving you the technical skills in coaching. So it's wonderful. And it's ongoing work today. So I've been working with the Air Force for over 10 years now. Wow. Just a couple of weeks ago, ran another program. So it's just a wonderful opportunity, to make a difference.
Well, thank you. That deserves a clap. I've just watched it from afar, and I've always admired your work, Natalie, and the impact that it brings, because it's not something that just touch and go. It's about that sustainability. It's about not changing the culture, but it's adding on top of what the culture is already and enhancing it at the end of the day, enhancing the effectiveness of a leader, as you were saying. So lots of themes going down there, talking about how we can put the multiplier effect of what coaching can do to leaders and organizations out there. And even till today, people are still asking the question, can coaching actually make a difference?
I know. I think it's the wrong question. It's like it's a closed question. Can coaching make a difference? It's such a limiting question. We should be saying, where can it make a difference? How can it make a difference? With whom can we make a difference? So I always reframe that question. Where else can we make a difference? Using this toolkit and our
Yeah.
mindsets and the way we show up as
Yeah.
coaches.
Yeah.
Holding human potential and strengths and engagement and the strong desire to create a better world. And for me, it's about the next generation of leaders. And I think that's what I reflect on now, being in the industry for over 20 years, is 20 years ago, we were those up and coming middle managers. I want today's up and coming middle managers, the 30-year-olds, the 40-year-olds, etc. I want them to be strong leaders that are making a massive difference. And I want them to be coaching because of the benefits that coaching brings. So, we had to struggle in the early days to find out what that was. But today, there's no struggle. People do have to still struggle to change their mindsets and to change their habits and behaviors about how they're leading and what's worked for them. That's always going to happen.
Yeah.
However, the idea of coaching and what it is and the benefits, etc., there's less of a struggle now. It's in job descriptions and it's in the way that we operate in many organisations. And yet, Mel, there's still so much work to do. There's still so much opportunity, still so many people who said what you said. I don't think coaching will work. It's like, well, okay, let's give it a go.
And with that spirit of give it a go in every aspect of your life, you've extended even yourself into the academia of things. I want to congratulate you on a recent milestone. If I can announce it, Dr. Natalie Ashdown, thank you for your impact, your work. I know your beautiful thesis that you wrote as well. So tell us more about that journey again, because obviously it was a journey over a couple of years. And yes, you gave that a big go as well. Your growth.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I've always been, I love to learn. I love to learn. I've always been a lifelong learner. I've always believed in qualifications. If I might share a personal story, Mel, my dad invested in our education when we were young. We had everything we needed, but we might not have had a lot, if that makes sense. So we had everything we needed, had a wonderful childhood. And my dad invested and basically gave us the best opportunity I think he could have given us, including love and a great family and food, etc. But what he really invested in, we didn't have holidays and cars and all that kind of stuff. We had our education. And so I've always wanted to honour my father by saying, you invested in my education and I love to learn and I'm going to continue to invest in my own education. So what that meant was when the timing was right, it was time for me to invest in learning again and my education. And I had already achieved a number of different things in coaching. And the timing was right for me to make a bigger impact and a bigger difference in coaching. And I felt that I could do that by doing a doctorate and doing my thesis. So I did the thesis in coach education, in coaching mindsets, in what we do in coach education that changes mindsets. And I had the opportunity to use the Air Force as a case study. So I just learned so much more about coaching by doing that work. And of course, when you set up on a 6-year goal or an 8-year goal, you learn about yourself as well. So, so I learned about resilience and I learned about how to write academically. I learned about academia. Yeah, I learned so much to become not just a practitioner, but also what they call a prac-ademic. So a practitioner who's also an academic. I had practitioner down, no worries.
Yes.
But I had to learn how to become an academic and speak academically. And that really stretched my learning. And yes, just recently, that's what I've achieved. So I've passed, and my father, who has not travelled since before COVID, has said that he will come and he'll travel to be at the graduation and he wouldn't miss it. So it's going to be a really emotional and important event because it's part of an achievement of a lifelong journey, I think, that he started with giving us the best opportunities that we could through our education. So, Yeah, there's a lot in it.
Wow, wow. I'm just getting
Yeah,
this picture of him being like the catalyst to bringing out your best.
yeah.
And that's so beautiful, the sacrifices that I'm sure that he has made for the family, and the impression that he gave into you has carried through, because you have also been a catalyst to many people out there in bringing out the best, believing in that person's potential. And that has continuously, to your 20 plus years, been that inspiration. So, yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful story. And I thank you for sharing that. As we mentioned already, Natalie, coaching is different than past years. As you see this difference coming into play into workplaces, where it's a lot more a collaboration between the tech world, the innovations
Mm.
that's coming, and then there's that human element as well. Where do you foresee coaching taking its place in the near future?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's something that we've spent a lot of time thinking
Yeah,
about. And I think about what do leaders need to
yeah,
be equipped with in the future to manage the change that's going on in the world and manage the change that's going on in our workplaces. And where does coaching fit into that, with that enablement
yeah,
mindset? So I think about what do leaders need, and leaders need to be innovative, leaders need to be critically thinking,
yeah,
leaders need to be really good, strong decision makers. Leaders need to know how to build and grow teams, and leaders need emotional intelligence. So they're the kind of 5 pillars that I think about a lot. And so I think about, how does coaching enable leaders to become
mm,
better decision makers? Well, it's in everything we do. In
mm,
every single coaching question we ask, we're having leaders think, and how do we enable them to be critical thinkers? Well, we give them the space and the time to think critically. We challenge people to think critically, to make good, strong decisions for themselves, for the people around them, etc. So for me, the future of coaching is enabling the leader at whatever level we are
yeah.
within the organization. And I think that's what the world needs now, is good, strong decision makers, decision makers that want to grow and inspire and create and do good in the world, not
Yeah.
destroy the world. so,
Yes.
so if we're enabling good, strong decision makers and
Mm,
using our coaching skills to do that and to have them think critically, then moving forward, the future of coaching is great.
yeah.
Where technology, etc., fits in
Yeah.
is that if technology starts to replace critical thinking
Mm,
and decision making, then we're in trouble.
mm,
But where technology informs and enables
yeah.
that decision making, the ability to create better teams, the ability to have emotional intelligence and think about ourselves and others and our impacts, any technology that enables that, in my opinion, needs to be embraced,
Yeah.
because it allows us to be better, fitter, stronger human beings. So they're the kind of things that I've been thinking about, where we fit in as leaders ourselves, yourself, Mel, all of the other people that you've interviewed, where we fit in terms of leadership in the coaching
Yeah.
industry, I think now is really critical,
Yeah.
because we're the ones, not the custodians, if you like, but we're the ones that are going to continue to champion what's most important in our workplaces. And if technology in whatever form enables that,
Yeah.
then I think we should see any opportunity to embrace it.
Yeah. Very true. And what is that future, Natalie, that you are embracing? It's, I guess, a personal question to you, and how you see yourself playing your role in that future of yours.
It's a good question, because there's been changes in our business, and
Hmm.
great opportunities. More doors are opening. So
Yes.
there is something around. I think how you and I have always connected around vision and strategy and culture and people, and so I do continue to see my role in shaping thought leadership, in thinking about
Mm,
coaching and enabling and leadership in you in different ways. And it might be that it's all the same, it's another version of what we did 20 years ago. And again, it's about how do we bring coaching and what we do to more people to make the difference that we can make in the world. And so I see a role potentially for myself to continue, just like Sir John Whitmore. He was in his 80s when he passed away, and he was still doing one-day coaching programs. I'm like, why not? Why not be, a person who's in their 80s and still speaking or delivering or designing or growing, changing, learning? That's what I want to be doing. And through that, making a difference to our workplaces, to our families as we go. Teams, friends, family, workplaces, organizations, countries, whatever it might be.
Absolutely. Sir John has been such an inspiration. You have been such an inspiration for me and for many out there. What will be an inspiration that you like to leave behind for perhaps the new coaches coming into our lovely industry?
There's probably a couple of things. One is probably the message, as we said, that my dad gave me, which is you really can do anything. So coaching really has the opportunity to empower anything, really. So it's to think about coaching as an enabler.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to encourage people to never lose sight of the concept of lifelong learning. So even when I became an MCC, I still wanted to learn my craft and my skill and practice because I wanted to become better so I could serve people. So coaching is not something that, as you say, we just get ACC or PCC or MCC and that's it. My doctorate is not the end. It's about how do we use those things as a springboard for the next learning opportunities so that the more that we learn and grow as coaches, we can then make a difference to the people that we're working with. So I'm not the same coach as I was, all those years ago. I'm not the same coach I was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage people to learn, like not just get their coaching course and that's it. But pursue lifelong learning because I think that's where we can really make a difference.
Yeah. Wow. It's come to the time where we have to say goodbye on this podcast. Of course, we can carry on with lunches and dinners and drinks. I think that's coming up really soon too as we celebrate your milestone, Natalie. Any last words before we go?
Well, I just want to thank you, Mel, for the opportunity of talking to you and reflecting. And thank you for the work you do and the inspiration you give to so many people as well. And thank everyone for tuning in and taking the time. And hopefully some of the things we've talked about sparks that reflection. And thank you for the opportunity to reflect myself.
The pleasure is mine. It's long in the making, as we know, but it's worth the wait. So once again, thank you. Thank you for being on the show. This has been the 100 Master Coaches show today with Natalie, myself, Mel, saying keep looking at your own life in that growth and that future potential of yourself and keep learning every single day. Take care, everybody. Till the next time. Bye for now.
You have been watching the 100 Master Coaches series with your host, Coach Mel, MCC. Brought to you by Catalyst Coach. www.catalystcoach.live. We will be right back with our next Master Coach on the 100 Master Coaches series.